Hello and welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for more build-up ahead of Barcelona against Liverpool. And in today's video, we are going to be fully understanding our opposition in the task we have in hand against Liverpool, and in particular against this Jurgen Klopp side. In today's video, we are going to be looking in depth at Liverpool's season, their incredible run, their fight for the Premier League title, their squad as a whole, and of course, their style of play. We're going to be analysing everything we need to know because that is vital. Coming right up. Let's do this. And I think it's really, really important that we do this, guys, simply because, yes, we have our own game, we have our own assets, we have our own things that we want to do going into this game. But most importantly, you've got to understand your opposition. I'm not saying to base the entire way we play around Liverpool and what we're going to do. We're not just going to react to everything they're doing, but it is important that before this game, we sit back, we have a look at what we're up against, we look at their strengths, we look at their weaknesses, and we really do work on that then and try and pinpoint areas where we can target them and where we have to protect our own team. And so, we have to kick off quite simply with Liverpool's unbelievable Premier League run during the current campaign, and they have been sensational in the Premier League in terms of form, in terms of consistency, and for me, it's a very, very different Liverpool side to the one we've seen over the past few seasons. There have been times, of course, you remember when Luis Suarez was at the club, where they were unbelievable going forward, they scored goal after goal, they were free-flowing under Brendan Rodgers, and they very nearly beat Manchester City back then to the Premier League title, but it didn't quite happen because they were very, very poor defensively. They were wide open and they could get hurt at times by a number of teams in the Premier League. This season, though, it's been completely different. This is a balanced Liverpool side. It's got good defensive qualities. It's very good going forward. They've got a balanced midfield. And not only that, Jurgen Klopp here has developed some players. He's brought in key names where he didn't too. You look at Van Dijk, you look at Alisson, players that Liverpool have been crying out for. Klopp has analysed that. He's used that. And he's built here a team, of course, in his own image, the way that he loves to play. He's brought players to suit that, the likes of Fabinho, Naby Keita have come into that midfield to give them that kind of energy, that kind of control. And I think overall, Liverpool have been phenomenal. There's no way around that. They've been phenomenal in the Premier League this season with 91 points so far out of a possible 108 so far this season. And that's just 17 points dropped after 36 Premier League games. And that is outstanding. This season so far, they've suffered just one defeat. One solitary defeat out of 36 Premier League games. And that was away at Man City by the slenderest of margins. They're currently 1 point behind City, though, 4 goals behind also in the goal difference. And as of right now, if City win their last 2 games, even with this unbelievable season, even though they've wanted the Premier League more than anything else, they've never won the Premier League in its new format. They wanted this title so badly, but even now, they're going to lose it. They are set to lose it if Man City win their last 2 games, and that is incredible. That just shows the quality of Man City, the quality of Pep Guardiola. In league format, he is unmatchable. He is very, very difficult to defeat, as Liverpool are finding out right now in the cruelest way possible. If they do end up losing that title, I think you'd have to look back at February, March, that sort of period there, where Liverpool drew 4 games in total, especially those 2 there against Leicester, against West Ham. They dropped points, of course, to their big rivals, their City rivals in Everton. That was a poor game there as well for them. And it just shows at times that Liverpool, they are fantastic, they're brilliant, they're a very, very well-oiled machine, but they are not unbeatable. Yes, they've only lost once, but in those draws, teams have gotten at them. They can have an off day. They can drop below their level. And I think we have to really utilise what we've got, target very key areas in their team. And you look as well at the cup competitions, the EFL Cup against Chelsea at Anfield. They lost thanks to a stunning Eden Hazard goal by 2-1. They were knocked there out of the EFL Cup. You look at the FA Cup as well. They were knocked out to Wolves in what was at the time, admittedly, a rotated Liverpool side, but they did lose that game 2-1 again thanks to a stunning Ruben Neves goal. So they're not unbeatable, this Liverpool team, but the way I would describe them is they're a very, very well-structured team, a well-balanced team with a lot of quality right throughout their lineup. And if you look at the Champions League, of course, very, very important when you're looking at this. And that's when I'd also say here, there may be a little bit of hope for Barcelona, particularly in that first leg at the Camp Nou, such a big occasion. You look at their Champions League form, they finished second in their group to Paris Saint-Germain. They finished with 9 points with 3 wins out of their 6 games. 3 wins there and 3 losses also. The 3 losses all came away from home, which is very, very interesting. They lost 1-0 away at Carlo Ancelotti's Napoli, and they incredibly lost 2-0 to Zvezda, which is an absolutely extraordinary result when you really put that into context now that Liverpool in the semi-finals of the Champions League lost there, a massive, massive upset, and also in the final game when it really came down to it, the pressure was on in that game, they lost at the Parc des Princes to PSG by 2-1, Neymar and Bernat scoring on the night. Bad day for Liverpool there, and it just shows in those big away games when the pressure is cranked up, when they really are put under pressure by their opposition, both in an attacking sense and also, of course, in the way that Liverpool's set up, you can get at them if you adopt the right game plan, if you play at your best. There is weaknesses in this Liverpool team. And of course, following that group stage run where they did obviously finish in second, so they had a tough draw in the next round, Bayern Munich it was 0-0 there at Anfield, and then away from home Liverpool blitzed them really to win 3-1 against a Bayern team this season who hasn't really been firing on all cylinders. Then in the quarterfinal it was very, very easy for Liverpool, no doubt about it. They made it look easy though, to be fair to them. 2-0 at Anfield against Porto, and then 4-1 away from home, a crushing away victory there. Liverpool showing their credentials, reaching the semi-finals, and no doubt about it, as I've said already, a big, big threat. And I want to have a look at Liverpool's top goal scorers right throughout the season so far in all competitions. So this is the stats for all the competitions Liverpool have been in so far this season. At the very top of that list, Mohamed Salah there with 25 goals to his name throughout the season so far. And I think Salah in many ways has actually been the victim of not only his own success but also the fans' expectations of him. I think Liverpool last season they were sort of overrating Salah. They were comparing him to Lionel Messi when he was going on these incredible goal-scoring runs. The problem is whenever you compare a player to Lionel Messi, whenever you take that jump, that massive leap to that kind of level, you then expect them to do that week in, week out, no matter what. So Liverpool fans now are saying, look, Salah is being misfairly treated. He's had a great season. He just hasn't been quite as good as last season. The problem was when you put him on that pedestal, that is going to happen because he hasn't replicated it. He's been very, very good, no doubt about that. But when you talk about Messi level, nowhere near. Sadio Mane is in second for their goal scorers in all competitions with 24 goals, and he for me has had an absolutely wonderful season, scoring some really key goals in really key moments. You look at the Champions League against Bayern Munich, he scored there of course at the Allianz Arena, a big moment in that game. Sadio Mane stepping up for his team. Roberto Firmino is next on the list with a little 16 goals there. He does a lot for the team though, doesn't he? He really takes part in the build-up, he really works hard for the team, and you can see that really these goal scoring numbers are affected, but still I would expect him to have more goals this season, no doubt about that. And for me then, there's quite a big gap between those front three, then you drop to the midfield, then you drop to other areas. You've got James Milner then with 7 goals as their next best, and that's been mostly penalties throughout the season so far, and then Xherdan Shaqiri with just 6 goals in all competitions. And that's what I mean. If you stop the front three, if you can find a way of psyching them out, if you can find a way of blocking off their path to get the ball there to that front three, there's not a lot of goal-scoring prowess throughout the rest of the Liverpool team. You look at Virgil van Dijk, certainly he's a player that can come forward from corners and get a goal, but other than that, you stop that front three and you go a long, long way here to stopping Liverpool's goal threat. And I just want to take a look at Liverpool's most used team of the season so far. Each of these players here in their individual roles have been the most used players right throughout the season so far. You've got Alisson in goal, certainly a goalkeeper who's really boosted Liverpool with this form. Very, very good with his feet as well. He can help play out from the back and very good shot stopper. Robertson at left back who's been outstanding, who often links up with Sadio Mane. He's always going to try and make those runs, always very attacking as well, but also he can defend. That's very, very important there for Liverpool in the left back position. Van Dijk and Matip, that's a very, very strong area, of course, with Virgil van Dijk commanding that centre-half position. He's a leader as well. He'll often be seen telling Matip what to do, organising the back four, and certainly from set pieces as well. He gets everything in order. A very, very good defender. Matip next to him is, for me, somebody who's been helped by Van Dijk, dragging him along, really helping him to play, and of course with a good partner, it's always easier for a centre-back. But for me, that's one area here that we can target with Joel Matip. That right centre-back area, Van Dijk, of course, in this position is outstanding. But for me, Matip can certainly be gotten at. You can look for that as one of Liverpool's few weaknesses. That is one of them there that I would highlight. I'm going to talk about that more, of course, in the tactical preview. Alexander-Arnold here at right back, a very good player again who can go forward. Liverpool rely very heavily on their full-backs for their width, and no doubt those two are going to be involved very heavily over both legs. You've got Fabinho here holding in midfield, somebody who can take the tempo, somebody who can take the pressure off. He's always very calm in possession, and he sort of worked his way into Jurgen Klopp's plans this season at Liverpool in his debut year. You've got Wijnaldum in midfield alongside Henderson. That will certainly change throughout the two ties. You've got Naby Keita who could come in. You've got James Milner as well who can play centrally. They've got a number of options there in that midfield, but Wijnaldum is somebody who will try and get closer to the front three, who can provide that creativity and also can be a source of goals. Jordan Henderson as well, the captain of Liverpool, of course, a leader. He's really been in good form of late. He hasn't always been that level throughout the season, but certainly of late he has shown some good form and can certainly provide a lot of energy here in this midfield, both going forward and defensively. Sadio Mane from the left, Mohamed Salah from the right, and Roberto Firmino down the middle for Liverpool. That is a formidable front three. Mane is somebody, of course, who I've mentioned mentioned before, he can score in big moments, he can cut inside and get involved, he can also go wide and stay wide and certainly drag out the fullback. You've got Mohamed Salah who can do exactly the same. Both of these players can easily become inside forwards and play very narrow, relying on the fullbacks then to advance and really stretch the pitch. And I think Liverpool there are a very, very good side. They've got a good solid defence. Van Dijk is a massive, massive part of that. They've got very good fullbacks. They've got a good midfield, but that is one area there I feel we could target that midfield area, and I certainly think we could win that battle if we're on our game. But the front three are certainly a force to be reckoned with. Firmino is a very good player to really fit Liverpool's system. He will bring those two into play, and if you can do that, if you manage to do that, Mane and Salah are certainly capable of winning games. But of course, we are going to be discussing the full tactics, the full head-to-head Barcelona against Liverpool, how they're going to line up, how they're really going to come up against each other, and where the two teams can really exploit each other. All of that is going to be coming up in the tactical preview, which is going to be coming on the channel very, very soon, guys. The game itself is coming thick and fast. Just a few days to go now. We have to be ready. We absolutely have to. I hope you did enjoy this video looking at Liverpool and exactly what we are going to be facing on Wednesday night, of course, and heading back to Anfield, which can be a formidable European atmosphere. We will look to take that challenge head on. Join me again for more build-up videos. I'll be back soon, but until then, as always, Visca El Barça.